I know I like the author. I want to try sci-fi. Yes. No. Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten, and today we are doing May's reading wrap up. I hope you all had an amazing month in May. Do let me know what you got up to, if you took part in any read-alongs and things, but we all know what a wrap up is, so I'm just going to jump straight into it with the format that I've been doing all year, with starting off with my stats. And I'm still loving keeping track of my stats. I find it really fun to do, especially like to prepare for these videos, to go over all the books I've read, put them in their right statistics and stuff. Like, it's just been really nice to do, so definitely going to continue. Enough waffling. You've heard me say that so many times. If you've seen my other wrap up videos this year, you've heard me say that. So it's going to be a rambly one. I have landed, so I was on holiday at the end of May. I landed this morning, and so I was traveling for a long time, so I am a little bit like kind of like in a weird hyper yet extremely tired mood, but I need to get this video filmed today. It's currently the 3rd of June today, I think, and we need to get this video up for the Sunday, and I'm back to work tomorrow, so it had to be done today. You're gonna have to deal with the tired, weird tangents, I'm afraid, but okay, I promise we are actually going to get into the stats now. So books read is 10, which is exactly the same as April. Books hauled is also exactly the same as April at 12. This one makes it, it's like my birthday month. I got a few vouchers and stuff, treated myself a little bit, so April and May tend to be higher in the book purchasing months. Translated books I'm really happy with at 3. It was a soft goal of mine this year to read more translated work, and I'm pleased that I am actually keeping up with that. Format that I read them in is a 50-50 split, which is the first time that's happened, but we have 5 books physical and 5 ebooks. DNFs is 1, which has been my lowest this year. To be fair, could have DNF'd probably about 3 other books, but I didn't. I actually pushed through and finished them. Do I feel like I gained anything from actually pushing through and finishing those books? No, but you know, we have the DNFs down to 1, which is, you know, the lowest, as I said, all year, which is pretty good. And rereads is 1 as well, which, as we know, I like rereading books. I like to keep on top of that, and I just want to make sure I'm reading about 1 a month as a reread, because it's something I do really enjoy. Moving on to the genre statistics. Again, making the disclaimer here that these genre statistics do not add up to the amount of books that I have read per month, because if there is a genre blend, then they get put into both categories. For example, I read a fantasy mystery this year, so we get 1 in fantasy, 1 in mystery. Starting off with the most shocking, which is cozy, and I only read 1, and even that 1 is a bit of a push, because the book that I'm putting in for this technically isn't a cozy book. It's just I find them quite cozy, easy, comforting reads. It's a fantasy romance, and yeah, it was just a really fun, easy read, so I put it in cozy, but I know a lot of people wouldn't put in cozy. This would have been up to 2 if I'd got round to the last book I was going to be reading for May, but I never actually got to it in time. So yeah, only 1, which is really surprising, but also does show the shift in me as a reader, where I am starting to focus on other things. Fantasies also dropped to the lowest it's been all year at 2 books, but then sci-fi has gone up to the highest it's been all year at 3 books, which again I'm really happy with, because I do want to start exploring sci-fi as a genre. You've heard me say this many times if you've been on the channel for a while. Horror is 4 with a question mark, because some of the books that I've put in horror, technically more literary than actual horror book, but they're like literary horror. I would say they're like a subcategory horror. We'll get into it when I get to those books, but I put them in there as horror anyway, and this is exactly the same as last month. I've really been enjoying horror this year, definitely getting more into it. Mystery books is 1. Kind of average for the year so far. I've been kind of averaging between 1 and 2, with 1 month where I ended up reading loads more. I would like to get back into my mystery books, but hoping that will happen soon. But I like them as like a nice palette cleanser and stuff. Anyway, the last one is romance, which is 1. Thrillers, classics and other were all 0. this month. Before we get into all the books that I have read though, I like to take a moment just to reflect on any readathons that I took part in, read-alongs and also year-long reading challenges, because there are a couple that I'm taking part in. So we're going to start off with the read-along, and the read-along is for Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton, and this is hosted by Rainey and Leandra, two amazing YouTubers that I'm privileged to call friends, and they were hosting this read-along for the first and second book and also a watch-along, and I think it was to commemorate the new Jurassic Park film that's coming out. I was lucky enough to be able to watch the first film with them, which was so fun, but the other couple films I've actually missed out on either because of work or holiday, so unfortunately I haven't been able to watch them. I enjoyed this so much. I enjoyed taking part in this read-along. It is the only thing that was ever going to make me read Jurassic Park. I bought the book especially for it. Yeah, we're gonna get into it, but this was a pleasant surprise, so that was great. Continuing with Rainy though, we're gonna move on to year-long reading challenges because I didn't take part in any other readathons in the month of May. So yeah, so May was a nice chill one, no extra readathons, but Rainy's year-long reading challenge is all around series. So it's the series takedown, and I've really been enjoying this. It's making me so much more accountable for finishing series, which is another goal of mine this year. I only made one bit of progress with this though, and that is the square for multi-POV, which I fulfilled using A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon, which is technically the first book in a series, but I've already read the second book because I read them out of order. So I went back to read number 1, and I also have number 3 saved on my Kindle, so it's technically continuing a series. So that worked really well. And this is the book also that I did as like my cozy book, because out of all the books I read, this was my cozy out of the month, apart from the one I never actually got to, which I am going to be reading, hopefully starting tonight. So that's Rainy's year-long reading challenge. I've only got, how many squares have I got left? I've got 6 squares left to go. Oh, I need to make sure I'm at least doing one a month to make sure I finish in time by the end of the year. Been loving this though. This was such a great idea by Rainy, so I'm very happy with that. And then the second year-long reading challenge I'm taking part in is Our Fantasy. And for this one, I actually made good progress this month. I read 3 books for Our Fantasy. Starting off at the top, we have The Cat Bride, which worked for the prompt Hidden Gem. So The Cat Bride by Charlotte Tierney, this is a new release, but also nobody's talking about it. Like when I saw it in the bookshop, it had 3 ratings. That was it. Even when I went to read it a couple months after its release, so obviously reading it in May, it still only had 4 ratings. So this is a really underrated book. So it works for Hidden Gem, and the images on there, on the board, they're different because I'm tracking whether I'm reading a horror book, a sci-fi book, or a fantasy book. No fantasy book has been read for this yet, hence just the Ghost and Spaceships. Then I also read a book in parts, which was Exodia by Seth Dickinson. This was a bit of a disappointment, we'll get into it, but it did have a book in parts. It had like 6 or 7 parts to it, so that worked really well. This is basically a very common thing that you'll find in fantasy and apparently sci-fi book, where the story is just broken down. In this one, it was broken down into acts. So we have the start of the book, Act 1, Serendure, and then the last act was, I think, Act 7. I can't find it now. But yeah, that was for a book in parts. And then the final prompt I managed to fulfill for Our Fantasy this month is Biopunk, which brings us full circle back to Jurassic Park, because Jurassic Park is all about engineering dinosaurs using DNA and then doing some stuff to it. It's clever. And also, why would you, just because you could doesn't mean you should. Made some really good progress with that, so very, very happy. But with all the stats and everything and the challenges and stuff all done, it's time to get into the books that I have read for the month. Although we're technically going to start with 3 books that I read in April. So for those of you that have been following my channel for a while, you know I do a new releases series. So every single month I read 3 new releases and do a month-long vlog about it, which then comes out the following month. I read these 3 books in April, but the video came out in May, so I talk about them in the May wrap-up, although I did briefly mention them last month. So let's quickly go over it. So we have an ebook, which was Sour Cherry. This was a retelling of Bluebeard. It's lyrical in the way that like something like The Last Howl of the Flower Bride is lyrical. It is really slow, the prose is really nice. However, I will say the first half of the book, loved, fell in love with. I thought it was going to be a new favourite book, absolutely adored. The second half of the book was very repetitive, and so I ended up lowering the rating that I gave it. So the start of the book I was thinking like 4.5 easily. In the end I ended up finishing on a 3.75, which isn't too bad. It's just a shame because it had so much potential. However, this was this author's, Natalie's, first book, so I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out for anything else they put out. I think it was really well done. Like, I do think their prose is really well done. It's just the same, it got a little bit repetitive, but that was really good. Then for that video I also read Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man by Jessie Sotano. This is the second book in the Vera Wong series, and I enjoyed this one. This was a solid 4 stars. It's just an easy, fun mystery time. Vera is a really hilarious character. However, I will say this does copy the formatting of the first book, where you have a mystery that Vera is getting her nose stuck into when she really shouldn't, and the police are like, can you not? And she's just gonna do what she wants anyway. She gets all her list of suspects together, gets involved in their lives, and it's a very, very similar setup here, except this one focuses a lot more on social media and being an influencer and things like this, as well as another topic that I don't see commented on in books that I thought was really well done. Just from like my perspective, I liked the balance between looking at this darker topic that does happen, that doesn't get much spotlight, paired with Vera Wong's usual humour and just the way she is. Like, I loved it. I would recommend taking a bit of time between reading the first and second book. It's not something I would advise binging because of how similar they are, but it was really good and entertaining. So yeah, 4 stars for this one. And then I also read When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy, my first Nat Cassidy book, 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. Like, this was just so good. You have to take into account that I'm kind of new coming into modern horror. Gothic classics, whole different story. Modern day horror, I haven't read as much, so possibly this sort of concept has been done before and it's nothing really new. However, to me, this was brilliant. It was so scary. The tension for it, oh, fantastic. Again, I'm not going to go into loads of detail about these 3 books because I do have that whole video, but yeah, that was all so good. 5 stars, new favourite book of the year, and definitely going to be reading more Nat Cassidy works. I really, really enjoyed that one. So those are the ones that I read in April. That does mean that for May, I have, well, 2 books that I can't talk to you about because it's going to be in the new releases video coming out the week after this video. It should have been 3, but as I said, I had that cozy book that I never got round to that I'm going to be starting this week, but I did read them in the month of May. They were released in the month of May, and it's been a mixed bag, I think. With that out of the way, let's get to the one DNF that I had in the month of May, and unfortunately it's Lost in the Garden by Adam S. Leslie. This is a book I was so excited to be reading. This is one that I picked up, I think it was like last year, got really excited about reading it, never got round to reading it, and then just had it in my mind that this was a book I was going to be taking on holiday, and that's exactly what I did, and then ended up DNFing. I got like 75 pages through, and the thing is, like, the plot line, interesting. I am intrigued. We have this place called Almonby. Nobody's allowed to go there. Everybody knows it. We're set in this kind of like dystopian world where there is eternal summer. So it's been summer for the last 6 years. And we also have these things that are like zombies but ghosts, like a weird combination of the two. You can't do anything about them. You can't stop them. There is nothing you can do. So you're just having to learn to live with them. However, we're in this little English countryside village. People keep going missing and it's never really explained. It's just kind of accepted as this is what happens. And we follow these 3 girls who decide to go to Almonby, a place where you're not meant to go. Plotline, great. The idea of it being a folk horror fever dream book, great. I really want to love this book. The writing style I don't like. And that's what's really stuck me, is because it's just writing stuff I don't like, and I really want to finish it because I think the concept is something that I really want to love. I'm interested in what's going on, but also I don't connect to these characters. I don't think they're written extremely well. I feel like they're very similar to one another. There isn't a clear distinction there. They feel very young compared to what their ages are meant to be. I don't know, there could be more to it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. The writing style itself, very easy to read, like 75 pages read in like an hour. So it's very fast paced, but just can't gel with it, and I can't explain to you what's not working, and it's so frustrating. I still haven't decided if this is going to be a hard DNF or if I'm eventually going to try and give it another go, because I do really want to love it. I mean, look at this cover, plus all the buzzword, fever dream, folk horror, like I want to love this. So yeah, it's just a little bit of a shame. I may get back to it. However, a book that was also like that at the start of the month, which is making me hesitant to actually get back to this, is because I had the exact same reading experience with Exodia by Seth Dickinson. Seth Dickinson is an author that I have enjoyed. They wrote The Traitor Barrow Cormorant, and I love that book. I want to continue on with the series. When I saw they had come out with a sci-fi book, I was like, automatically, I'm like, this is perfect. I know I like the author. I want to try sci-fi. Yes. No. No. Why didn't this work? This ended up being a 2.75. I wanted to love it. Like, it's the exact same story as Lost in the Garden, where I really wanted to love it, but it just didn't work. I will say the first part, Act 1, loved it, really liked it. If the rest of the book had gone that way, yeah, hands down, would have really enjoyed this book. But it doesn't. And instead, this is a book that's kind of critiquing military, especially the American military, which is fine, except I wanted the sci-fi book. And the synopsis talks about how we're following our main character, Anna, and Anna is a refugee, a survivor of genocide, and she runs into an alien called Sirin, and she gets dragged into everything that's going on, like it's a first contact story. So I really wanted the focus on the alien, on Anna and Sirin. Those two together, yes, I loved that part. It was so good. But then it changes. You change perspectives a lot. Every time you change perspective, you get their backstory, which I'm like, okay, doesn't really fit into what's happening. It was more used as a critique of, again, American society, American military. Boring. Like, the next character we get, he's boring, and it's repeated so many times of like, oh my god, if American military was just made up of this guy, it'd be so much better. No, it wouldn't be. He's just a vigilante. That's not a good thing. Like, you don't want, like, don't get me wrong, I don't agree, like, I'm not gonna get politics and stuff. Do I think the military's great? No, it's done a lot of terrible things. However, having a military filled with just vigilantes, that's a terrible idea as well, so I don't agree with that. Then the third perspective we get is this guy that you're not meant to like, which is fine. I know I'm not meant to like him, however, I just don't like his perspective. There was also some things that were said regarding women and stuff in here that I'm just like, I just can't get behind this. And it was frustrating because I really wanted to like this book. It just didn't work for me, unfortunately, so I think this is one I'm going to be unhauling, because again, this is one I was kind of like gaslighting myself into continue reading. I'm like, it was going to get better. The first part was really good. It's going to get back to it. Doesn't get back to it. I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy the writing style. I think The Traitor Barrow Cormorant is a much better book. I can see what Seth Dickinson was trying to do, but it just didn't work for me. So unfortunately it didn't work, but I think if you're more interested in like a military book, then maybe give this one a try. But yeah, hence why I'm a bit hesitant to go back into Lost in the Garden, because I have that same issue with the writing style, which is frustrating because I want to love it, yeah. Anyway, okay, let's change to something a little bit happier, shall we? We have The Cat Bride. Loved this book. So this has been my favourite book of May. Really enjoyed it. Look at the annotations. It was crazy. I did so many annotations. Could have done even more. Thought it was really well done. This is not going to be a book for everybody though. This book has a very ambiguous ending where it is left up to the reader to decide what is real and what isn't. It's kind of like the concept of You Let Me In, where we're getting told this story and you get two versions of reality and you have to decide which one is real, or could they both be real. The same thing happens here in The Cat Bride. I really liked it. I really liked what was going on. We're following our main character Laudi, and Laudi is 16. However, she reads a lot younger, and there is a reason for that. Trigger warnings for abuse in this, quite a bit of it. There's the generational abuse of these women. The way they treat each other is awful, okay? But Laudi something's happened. She is ill. We don't know what this illness is. It's never really spoken about. We have to question, is she even ill? What's going on there? But she's going to live with her nan. So her mum and Laudi are going to live with her nan at this zoo. Now there is lots going on at this zoo, so it's kind of, so this zoo got shut down because this lynx tiger hybrid got loose and killed someone. someone. Now the townsfolk ever since then blame this Tinks on everything. They blame the Nan, saying that she controls this beast and the beast is their problems for everything. Animal dies, oh, the Tinks did it, she let it loose, things like this. Like, it's constant. It's kind of giving me vibes of We Have Always Lived in the Castle, the way the townsfolk treated that family. Very similar vibes to that. Really liked this. Like, it's so interesting. It gets you questioning so many different things. I'm just gonna read you a little bit at the end and then leave it at that because I don't want to go into too many spoilers and like give things away. Laudi is still recovering from her own mysterious illness and she begins to wonder who she can trust between her mum and her nan. Can she even trust herself when she wakes up covered in ticks with no recollection of the night before? It's really, really good. I really enjoyed this book. Some of the things that I tabbed, we have my usual quotes that I love. We also have things linking back to fairy tale and folklore because this was a retelling of The White Cat, which is a French fairy tale, which I then subsequently watched online, or well, technically listened online to someone, well, basically an audiobook version. I don't know why I'm saying things so weird, again, tired, but audiobook version. Really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great rendition of it. But yeah, it's linked a lot. That's referenced so many times in this. So if you like fairy tales and folklore and stuff, we've got the abuse between Laudi and her mum. I could have done a whole separate tab on her mum mindset, the abuse that she had to deal with potentially, and just all these different things about her mum. Very interesting. And then we've got Laudi's illness ? And again, there were so many other things that I could have been tabbing in this book because I just think it was fascinating. It was so interesting and yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved this book. I think I gave it like a 4.75 in the end. Yeah, 4.75. There was something about it that stopped it quite being a 5-star, but I think upon reread, it could definitely get there. I definitely think this is going to be in my top books of the year, but yeah, this was really good. Before I forget, let's start going through some of the ebooks that I read, the 3 other ebooks I can talk to you about, because otherwise I'm going to forget about them. So as I mentioned, we have A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon, which is by Sarah Hawley, I want to say. Always forget to write down the author names, it's so annoying. But yes, so I think this one's by Sarah Hawley. This is the first book in a series. I read the second book already and yeah, this was just fun. It was just really fun. The second book that I read first is A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch, and you need to read this particular romance series in order. Sometimes you can read them out of order. This is a romance series where we're following a different couple, but there is an actual plot line that follows through each of the books, so definitely need to read it in order. But if you're looking for just a really fun, silly time with a bit of spice, this is the book for it. I will say this book did get a little bit drawn out. I think I could have done with it being about 50 pages shorter, but this worked for the mood that I needed. I needed a palette cleanser book and this was perfect for that. Like, made me laugh at points. There is this story of our witch who is dealing with a very overbearing mother, is constantly feeling like she's not good enough, constantly looked down upon and stuff, and then we have this demon who also hasn't had the best childhood, and yeah, it kind of goes, I mean, it's a romance book, you know they're going to end up together, you know there's going to be a third act conflict, but it was just really fun. I really liked it, and yeah, I mean, it was good. What can I say? Like, it's just a fun, silly time. I don't know if that was actually helpful to anyone, but I enjoyed it. Ended up giving it a 3.75. Then we have 2 books I read for my weird reading vlog. This was a vlog that was voted on by my Patreons. So I do have a Patreon, and my armchair and rocking chair level Patreons get to vote every single month for a video that comes out here on YouTube, and they voted for reading Booktubes best weird books, and let me tell you, it was a weird time. So I'm going to start off with the lowest rating, which was Paradise Rot. This is by Jenny Havel. This is actually translated. I'm going to put the translator's name here because I can't remember. This I gave a 2.5, and this was one of the books that, again, a bit like Exodia, I could have DNF'd this one. Ended up pushing through because it was just such a short book. Like, it's really not long, and I was like, you know what, I might as well. It was fine. I can see why some people would love it. It's very Fever Dream-esque. It is a weird book. However, for me, it just wasn't the type of weird that I'm that interested in. Plus, lots of urine. Lots and lots of talk about urine, and I just don't get why. you know, I mean, yes, you can pull things apart about this book, toxicity between friendships and things like this, being a stranger, like coming, because this is an exchange, I think, was it an exchange student, or was it just someone coming over to do university in a different country? That feeling of like you're not really fitting in and things. And yes, there is a lot you can explore. It just didn't quite gel with me. It couldn't fully get on with the writing style. So yeah, 2.5. Then we have A Certain Hunger, which I have down here as a 3.75, but I have been playing around with giving it higher as a 4 because I enjoyed this one. So I think this one, I want to say Courtney Summers? I could be wrong. A Certain Hunger. This was such an interesting book. So with this, the premise of it is that we're following this a restaurant critic. She is in prison and she's writing this story from prison. However, you know straight away you can't rely on her as a narrator. Like, it's an unreliable narrator. She even talks about how she does change things, change the narrative to keep people interested in her. That I love. I mean, I love an unreliable narrator, so that's already something I love, but the writing style in this was really good. The only reason why I'm considering whether to give it the 4 or the 3.75 is because do I think I would reread this book? Parts of me go yes, because I really like the writing style, and other parts of me go no, because there was a couple of points that was a little bit too slow, feel like they could have been taken out. But overall, I really enjoyed this book. This is a story of how she ended up in prison, and she ended up in prison because she eats people. I wouldn't say it's the weirdest book I've read in terms of like fever dream-esque, and I know it's gonna stay with me. Now, is it the best cannibal book I've read? No, which is a weird thing that I can actually say I have a ranking for that. It's a weird thing, but I did enjoy it. Like, I did enjoy being in this person's head and just seeing the way they rationalize different things. And yeah, it was very interesting. This is a book that is firmly in the supporting women's wrongs. So all of those videos that you've seen where they're like, we support women's rights, but we're supporting women's wrongs, that's this book. Like, that's what that fits into solidly. So yeah, I enjoyed this one. I thought it was good. I still kind of can't decide. I think I'm gonna leave it at 3.75. I might have changed it on Storygraph to a 4 already. I'm not sure. Keep fluctuating between the two. I think it depends on my mood as well. I definitely want to read more by this author, so that was good. And then I also read Earthlings for that video by Sayaka Murata, and this one is translated by Ginny Tapley Takamori from Japanese. This was weird. This one I ended up giving, I think that's what I did. I think I gave this one the 3.75 and then gave A Certain Hunger 4. Could be wrong. But yeah, settled on a 3.75 mainly because the writing style of this one I couldn't fully get into. However, what it's doing, again, this is another book where a bit like The Cat Bride, you've got to decide for yourself what's real and what isn't. And the ending of this book, wild. Absolutely wild. Would I reread this one? Yeah, I think I would. Which is interesting because I'm pretty sure in the video I said I couldn't decide between A Certain Hunger and this one, which one I would reread more. The mood that I'm in currently, probably reread this one first. But it's kind of like they're on the same wavelength, to be fair. It's a mood thing. Depending on the day will depend on whether I give them a 3.75 to a 4. This was good. It was interesting. We're following our main character, Natsuki, and she has always believed that she is an alien. The thing is, right, she's dealing with a lot. Again, this is a trigger warnings galore sort of book, and you're seeing a bit of her when she was younger, then you see her as an adult, and yeah, things are just weird. But it also questions society quite a lot, and I quite liked it. But yeah, but do check your trigger warnings. Some things can get a little bit explicit, and like I say, that ending, wild. But I also enjoyed it. So yeah, this is one that I know I'm always going to be thinking about. I probably will eventually reread. Don't get me wrong, there are other books that I would reread before this one, like probably The Cat Bride, You Let Me In, things like that. It kind of deals with that similar thing of you don't know what's actually real. We're following someone who's definitely had childhood trauma, and their childhood trauma, are they making up these things to protect their mind, or is it actually real? You've got to make up your own mind. There are other ways this story has been done that I would reread before this one, but also I would consider reading more by this author as well. I think I'm more likely, so this is where it gets weird, so I'm more likely to read another book by the author of A Certain Hunger than I am from Sayaka Murata. However, Between the two books, I don't know which one I would reread first because I did enjoy both. Again, I think it would just depend what I'm in the mood for. If I want the beautiful writing, it's going to be A Certain Hunger. If I want something that I can annotate and really make me question what's real, what's happening here, then it's going to be this one. So yeah, I think both of them are really good, solid books, and they're both sitting between that 3.75 to 4-star read. Now we're getting into the last two books of the month, so let's talk about Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. I've already mentioned this one, as we know, and yes, this was a surprise for me. So this, as I mentioned, is not a book that I ever would have picked up if it wasn't for the read along. Like, I watched the films, but it wasn't something I was ever interested in reading. So pleased I did. Like, this was so fun, but I'm also really happy that I rewatched the film before reading this book. I think I got so much more out of it. So in this one, if you don't know what it is, we basically have these scientists that can extract DNA from dinosaurs, and they are basically cloning dinosaurs, creating dinosaurs on this little island, and things go wrong from there because of course they're going to. This was fun. It was interesting. There was science heavy moments where it felt like you're in a bit of a science lesson learning how they even did this amazing thing. There was tension, there was action, there is darkness. Like, it's a good book. Is the writing the best? No. But it was fine. Like, I could definitely persevere and get over it. It wasn't like as bad as some of the other books that I've been reading, such as, like I mentioned, Exodia and things, where I just couldn't get on with the writing. Like, I would say this is not my favourite writing style, but it didn't detract from the book in any way, like my enjoyment of it. I had so much fun reading this book and seeing where the differences were between the film and this. Like, it was so entertaining. I started keeping like little notes on my phone of every time I'm like, oh, but this didn't happen and that didn't happen like this, and wasn't that in the second film and stuff. Like, I had so much fun doing that. Also, one of my favourite characters in this book is my most hated character in the film. I say most hated, like, he's a guy that just gives me creepy vibe, which is the mathematician, Ian Malcolm. I did not like it. I just think he was creepy. The way he was to Dr. Sattler was just creepy in the film, okay? Like, a little bit creepy. I know I'm in the minority there, but in the book he's so different and I loved it. I loved some of the quotes. Like, I have a couple tabs. These are all quotes that Ian said that I loved. I think they were fantastic quotes. Could have 100% tabbed this book more. Like, I could have done a whole separate tab for all the differences between the film and the book, and I'm kind of bummed I didn't do that. But I had a great time reading this. This actually took me 2 weeks to read. I read this while I was on holiday and I was just slowly dipping in and out of it, and it was great. I have to admit, when I finished this, I was like, right, I want to watch the second film. I want to get straight into the second book. I was so there for it. When I'm going to get a chance to do that, I don't know. Definitely going to be happening in June, because again, that's what the read along was doing. First book in May, second book in June. Definitely going to rewatch that second film. I need to find it somewhere. Yeah, this was just good. I think this was just such a fun experience, and I'm so grateful to Leander and Rainey for putting on this read along so that I could actually read this book, because yeah, I enjoyed this so much more. I genuinely thought I'd be like, oh, you know, I just didn't enjoy this one. Unfortunately, it just wasn't for me. So pleasantly surprised. I ended up giving this one a solid 4 stars because I just enjoyed it. And then we're going to round out with my reread for the month, which is the Discord book club pick. So for those of you that don't know, I do have a Discord link below, free to join. Completely free, and every single month we have a book club. The books are chosen by everyone in Discord. You all get to put forward different options, and the one that gets the most reactions to is the book that we read, and we plan it 2 months in advance. So if you ever want to take part, please feel free to join, but again, no pressure if you don't want to. But for the month of May, we were reading The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. This was a reread for me and I enjoyed it. Like, it was a solid reread. I ended up giving it 4.25s. Ended up annotating like one extra thing, which I think was like funny moments. This is a book I've annotated to high heaven. This is a fantasy mystery with a little bit of like biopunk, so you could kind of say it's got like splashes of sci-fi, I guess. So it's a Sherlockian mystery. So you've got your Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson mechanic. We're following our Dr. Watson character, which is Din. He is an engraver. So in this world, people are able to enhance their body in different ways. Din is enhanced that he can remember everything. So he can walk into a room and engrave it in his memory, meaning he can remember every single thing about that room, every single thing that was being said in that room, everything, and then he can regurgitate that memory back. Very good for being an investigator. Then we have our Sherlock character in the form of Anna, and she is someone that's a little bit mysterious. We really don't know too much about her, but there are so many references to Sherlock Holmes, like Anna being Sherlock Holmes. It's there. Okay, it's perfectly done. I really like her as a character, very quirky. I really enjoyed some of the lines that she came out with, like it was just absurd and fun, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. But we're following Din, and he is sent by Anna to investigate the fact that a tree has exploded out of a person, which does sound weird. However, it's not the weirdest thing that happens in this world, weirdly enough. And it all kind of goes from there. You've got like politics involved, you've got so many different things going on. I have so many theories. I will link the video because I do get into a couple of my theories, and it's been really fun to see those of you that have read the second book and you've been a bit like, some of your theories are way off, but some, you never know. And I love that. I cannot wait to read the second book. Like, it's something that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed this first book. I really enjoyed rereading it. I'm glad I reread it just before going into that second book. I say just before, it's not happening in June, maybe July, hopefully, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I do wish I had annotated some more of the parts that were to do with some of the things to do with my theory, but again, I go more into that in the vlog. But yeah, this was a solid book. This has been one of the few fantasy books that I can say I have really enjoyed starting. That brings us to the end. So those are all the books that I read in the month of May. Please let me know what you think of any of these, if you've read any of them. What was your favourite book in May or least favourite? Do let me know in the comments below. But I think we are going to leave it there. Like I say, I am rather tired, so I think I'm just going to go make a nice chai latte. Got to edit another video. I've just got to get things done. But we are going to end this one. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much. Thank you for bearing with me while I'm a little bit tired and jet lagged and everything. And if you have made it this far and just don't have anything to say but want to let me know that you were here, then let's put a, you know what, let's go with a dinosaur for Jurassic Park. So this was definitely the most surprising book of the month for me. So yeah, go with a dinosaur emoji for Jurassic Park, which I think is the second time I've done that this week. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Like, all of your support, I truly appreciate. Whether you comment, whether you're a silent watcher, just thank you so much. And of course, an extra special thank you to my Patreons for all of your continued support over there. Like, I have such a fun time. I'm hoping that I've got a few more videos coming out for you in July, fingers crossed. And yeah, I really enjoy it. If you ever want to see what's happening on Patreon, there's exclusive videos, there's poll voting powers, there's also a exclusive seasonal reading challenge and stuff. Like, there's lots of things going on. Feel free to check it out below, but again, no pressure. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, please consider giving it that thumbs up, subscribing and commenting. Those three things really do help this channel out. My social media links, anyone I've mentioned, everything's all linked below for you, and I will of course catch you in the very next video.